How's it going, guys? Taki here, back with a brand new video. This is a topic that I've wanted to cover for a few months, and I'm really excited to finally present this all to you. Today we're going to take a look at the top 5 reasons why you should try Ironman Mode. Small little disclaimer before we get started. This is a subjective video, but I've tried to capture what I believe are the most compelling reasons to play this version of the game. In preparation for this video, I've been asking members of the Ironman community to share their reasons for playing this mode, so I'll be basing this video off the most frequent responses that I've gotten, with a mix of my own personal feelings. If I've missed anything that you think should be included, leave a comment below and I'll pin you. And in no particular order, we have reason number 1, no treasure hunter. This point is going to mesh into another reason in this video, but it was mentioned enough times to have its own spot on this list. It goes without saying, but treasure hunter is 100% inaccessible on Ironman Mode. The only forms of microtransactions that you can engage with on Ironman Mode are buying bonds for membership and services or paying for cosmetics. It's easy to see why the community gets up in arms when OP treasure hunter promos are released throughout the year, but those releases don't affect irons. While there is a notion of devaluing achievement in the Ironman Mode, it doesn't come close to how bonus XP and free lamps can speed up the leveling process and ranks of players in the main game. Having just maxed a second account a few months ago, a link to that video is in the card above, I can see how fast leveling has become in the age of Treasure Hunter, and while it doesn't really bother me at all, I can sympathize with those that left the game because of Treasure Hunter or feel disillusioned with the developer over their choices. Now we move on to reason number 2, rewarding experience. This is probably the point on the list that I feel the most passionate about. I've been playing a hardcore Ironman using the mobile client for a few months now, and it has really reignited my passion for the game. In describing this point, I'm going to pull specific examples for things that I've experienced while making my Mobile by the Way series. When you play Ironman Mode, there's this feeling that even the smallest upgrades can feel large and impactful. When I first completed enough quests to unlock the quest point armor and weapons, it felt amazing. I didn't need to worry about managing different sets of armors for different styles in the early to mid game, and I knew that I had a guaranteed Beast Tier 75 weapon for all styles when I leveled my combat stats, so there's a real motivation to progress. This armor is something that really wouldn't see much value in the main game at all, but it's pretty decent on Ironman Mode. I felt this also when I went from using the ghetto Batwing gear and weapons that I was using to the Gothic staff when I unlocked it. I felt like a god with this upgrade. Bossing became much easier, and this is something that I wouldn't have felt if I could have just easily accessed the GE and bought a Grifflick wand and orb and avoided having to worry about dying in the wilderness. I also felt this the whole time I trained mining and smithing. Unlocking the ability to make new tiers of pickaxes feels awesome, especially when you can go back and mine the previous tier rocks and see how fast you can obtain ore now. Outside of these small upgrades feeling impactful, there's also a genuine feeling of accomplishment that you feel doing literally anything in this game. Want to fish for a few hours? No problem. Now you have a ton of cooking supplies and PVM materials when you decide to train your combats. Feel like chopping some trees? Cool. Now you have fletching, fire making, and construction material. It's pretty much like this for anything that you do in this mode. It all has value that you will feel and will be noticed by others. I want to wrap this point up by talking a little bit about high scores. If for whatever reason you were to make a new account today, there's a limit to how far you can rank up in each skill and as a whole due to you competing with accounts that have been playing for over a decade. Those spots in the high scores are already taken, and for the most part, they are not coming back. I'm going to be using my account as an example. I have a hardcore Ironman, and they have a separate high score table from the other two modes that includes active and dead accounts. In the main game, I'm around rank 365,000. In the Ironman table, I'm ranked 13,500. And in the hardcore Ironman table, I'm ranked just 2,800. Just to put this into perspective, I would need to have max stats and over 3 billion XP to get that rank in the main game. No thanks. The best rank that I can get now if I cared about rank on my main would be rank 540. Best rank on Ironman Mode? Rank 8. Best on Hardcore Ironman? 2. Not many people care about rank anymore, but I hope this illustrates the point. Number 3 on this list is another one that I feel passionate about, and that's going to be the replay value that you get from old content. This meshes a little bit with the previous point, but it's worth talking about by itself. Runescape 3 is an old game, and there's going to be large areas of that game and content that you will probably never interact with because you just don't need to. Let's take player-owned ports for example. You need to have level 90 in at least one pop skill to start progressing in this content, and from there you have months of work to progress to the point where you can obtain some meaningful benefits for your efforts outside of pure enjoyment. I know it might be a meme to say pure enjoyment, but I happen to like this minigame. At this point, you have access to a bunch of decent weapons, but by the time you can access them, you've probably outleveled them or can easily obtain something better through the GE. You also have access to best-in-slot scrimshaws, but you could just have easily obtained a slightly inferior version from the GE. If we flip this example over to Ironman mode, the armor could be super useful depending on your combat playstyle and your luck for boss drops. The weapons at tier 85 and 88 are probably going to be your go-to weapons as you progress towards unlocking tier 90 and 92 variants. All of the scrimshaws are going to be useful because there's nothing else that you can really use that has an easy upkeep in those slots unless you do a ton of clue scrolls. And all of this comes from just one piece of content in this large game. We could also talk about God Wars 1. As it stands, there's really no reason for you to do any of the original God Wars 1 bosses outside of Nex unless you're doing something like a Reaper task or boss logs. If you want money, you'd be better off doing God Wars 2, and if you want upgrades, you'd be far better off buying any gear that you'd get from there on the GE for a minuscule amount of GP. If we flip this over to Iron Man, and you were to spend tons of hours on Krill just to obtain subjugation boots, you're gonna feel like a fucking boss. You've now got endgame boots until you're lucky enough to roll something better from the Bird Casino. Again, these are only 2 examples, but there's hundreds more that could fit into this reason depending on your playstyles. Number 4 on our list is another one that I personally feel strongly about, and that's going to be the amazing community of like-minded people that you can play with in the Iron Man scene. This is going to depend a lot on where you land personally because there can be a few toxic clans out there, but I found that the in-game community of Irons that I play with to be super supportive and helpful. Anytime someone gets even the smallest of broadcasts, your chat window is going to GZ through the roof. You will always feel like someone will celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they are when you play in this mode, because they understand how hard it is and can be to achieve things. When I was first getting started with this mode, it was super easy to call on people for help with skilling or PVM. These people are always answering questions from people in the chat, and they are genuinely super active every day that I play on my mobile Ironman. That's not to say that there aren't active communities in Mainscape, because there definitely are, but these guys just take it to a different level, and I really enjoy having the ability to play like a recluse, but still feel like I'm part of something bigger. This brings us to the last reason on our list, and that's the economy. I hadn't really thought about this too much until this was brought up by somebody when I asked, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. When you play Ironman mode, money does have value. I won't deny that. But you will find that you require far fewer GP than you do in the main game. The person that brought this up mentioned specifically about not having to track items, and I can see where they are coming from. Let's say, for example, you obtain the Staff of Sliske on Mainscape. You've now got the best staff in the game, so the value will hold up until one of 2 things happens. The supply outweighs the demand and the price goes down, or a better weapon is released and the price goes down. Anyone that played during Panic Wands knows exactly what I'm talking about. People with a lot of money in the game don't really have to worry about keeping track of stuff like this, but it does affect a large majority of players, especially if they take a break from the game for a long time. Picture for a moment leaving the game when Nex armor was top tier. Torva could easily have gone for a few hundred mil. You can now buy the entire set for 90 mil. This person that left would have been close to the top of the economy, and now they're way at the bottom. But when you play Iron Man mode, those types of things don't matter. The GP stack that you have is just as valuable when you play as when you log out. The larger economy doesn't impact you at all. If you are considering an Ironman, I have a bunch of resources that you can find in the description box below. On screen you can see the guide that I've used and follow for my Ironman series. It breaks down the quest order that you should follow and the skills that you should train on your way to max. I'm also including a list of clans that you can join and vet for yourself. I'm personally an Iron family and genuinely enjoy that group of people. You can also consider joining the Discord that's linked in the description box below. We currently have a large amount of people that are either starting new accounts or are currently in the mid-game, and I'd like to build up our Iron Man community so that we have people for bossing and other things in-game. Aside from this, keep on the lookout for more videos from my Iron Man series that you saw featured throughout this video, along with some mode-specific guides that I have in the works. I'm planning on doing a whole series of guides in the early experience for people that want to start making and leveling Iron Man accounts. I hope you really enjoyed this video. It took a long time to pour through my collection of clips to find things to go along with the reasons that I got from the people in the community. And that's going to be it for this list. If you play an Iron Man, what would make your personal top 5 list? Leave your comment below and I'll pin the best one. That's the end of this one. If you liked the video, consider dropping a like below and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Feel free to take a look at one of the videos on screen now, and until next time, Taki out.